Hello everyone, welcome to this first video for the Sea Creatures series that I'm starting this month. These come from my book Sea Creatures. It's a coloring book. If you're interested, you can check out the link below. And I'm gonna do them all in watercolors. So first here I'm using a 12x18 Arches watercolor paper, 140 pounds, and of course my Daniel Smith watercolors, but also I'm gonna add some shimmer to it, and I'll tell you the company that I use for those. So I started using my quinacridone rose with my ultramarine, mixing it up to make that purple, and then the pure quinacridone rose in that pink part of the tail, as you can see. So I started first with my first layer and adding as I could. I normally use the technique of wet on dry, so that's what I'm using for the most part. But once I put the first layer, I start adding more colors, so at that point it's wet on wet. I did the same thing for those little details on the mermaid. She has like this little tail, kind of feathery looking part. So I put the quinacridone rose, and then I kind of dip my brush in the ultramarine and then just let it run, and it turns into that purple, kind of transitions nicely. Same thing I'm doing here. I'm just layering again, kind of giving it some dimension with the same colors. Then as you can see there, you also see kind of some yellowish colors, and that yellowish is actually Hansa yellow light, and I'm using that just to create some light on it. Now for the background, I'm doing my first layer, so I'm not too worried about the transition of the colors. I'm just putting kind of the color I want for the background. You're gonna notice after this that this is my first color. This is gonna be layered over with another color, so I'm just putting the color that I want on each level, kind of not really worrying about a smooth transition between each color. As you can see here too, you see me putting color over her tail, and that's because I want her tail to be kind of see-through. So I decided it was best to go under the tail, so it will give it that effect. So now I kind of mark where where the end of the water is, but at the end I changed that completely. I wasn't satisfied of how it looked. I thought it looked kind of strange, so I'll change it later. And here you can see after it dries, you see me layering the tail. Like I said, I'm using, for this one I actually used Phthalo Blue with the quinacridone, and it gave me this more vibrant purple for it. So I did my first layer and left it alone. Then I went for the hair. Of course, I started with my lightest color in the hair. She's gonna have kind of a light brown hair, so I started with a yellow for highlights, and that was my first. You see me here going over the tail again. That's because I found the sample sheet, and I thought maybe I should use it because it comes with a lot of colors in it. So I decided to use the quinacridone lilac and the pure purple from the Daniel Smith watercolor sample sheet. Then here you see me use the masking fluid actually, and this is gonna create that effect of kind of the sun rays hitting the water, so it makes those kind of really light streaks on it. So that's why I wasn't too worried about the transition of the colors on my first layer of the water, because I knew I was going to make that and then go over again. So here's when I'm worried or more concerned about the transition. So I kind of tried to work really fast. I picked the exact color I want, and then I started thinking about the shadow she's gonna make in the water, so I add that. And for the shadow, I'm using lamp black and a little bit of blue mix. and that's how I make the shadow of her. Now for the blue, that nice aqua, I like to use Viridian green mixed with the phthalo blue, and it makes this really vibrant, beautiful aqua color that I can't get enough of. And of course you see some parts have more Viridian green and some parts have more phthalo. In the darker parts I did ended up mixing a little bit of the ultramarine, but not too much because the tail or herself already has a lot of ultramarine on. So here I go for a second layer for the tail, and this is over the masking fluid. You see there's some masking fluid on the tail because I want to reflect that over her too, so I did a second layer for that reason. Now the back tail, I started doing my layer of it, and using the same colors as the other part. It looks a little more dark because obviously the background is darker. Now I start removing all of the masking fluid, and then you can start seeing how I kind of try to do that effect that is translucent, so you kind of see the light reflecting on the background through the tail. So I think you can see it right there. And then I add some more details. Those details I'm using ultramarine blue. It looks a little more on the purple side, but it's just kind of the lighting of the room. And then here I finally remove all of the masking fluid throughout the painting, and you can really see how it starts coming out, like the background immediately starts popping out. So you can just leave it like this if you decide, to do it, but I'm gonna go over it in a bit and kind of give it more details and fixing some stuff here and there, because obviously some things don't really come out as you expect them. And then here I do some more details on that tail, and you expect it to be all the way there. For her kind of clothing, I wanted to do kind of an armor, like she's wearing an armor, so I went for a silver armor with kind of a gold trim. So I use lamp black for these, and obviously being very careful to leave blank on the highlights, so no color on the highlights, just the pure paper right there. Then I add obviously more of the details. I'm using more ultramarine blue on the kind of like the part of the tail that is more on the background, because I want it to look obviously darker because it's behind her. So I keep working on details on the tail. This tail kind of took me quite some time, and as you can see, the painting wasn't done in one sitting, since I have a lot of commissions and this is kind of my side project. I didn't have much time each day, so it was over a course of several weeks working 30 minutes here, an hour here. I don't think there was time that I work an hour, but you know what I mean. It was just kind of randomly. Now here you see me going over the fin in front of her tail, and that I was hoping to give it some kind of appearance that you can still see the back ones in front of the behind the front ones, because they're see-through. So that's what I did. And then I used some of the shimmery kind of pearlescent, let me see, pearlescent white was the one I used, and I put it kind of in the corner of the front fins, and that kind of gave it that look that shimmers, and it makes it look more like it's in front of it. Then I went for the details of those feathery, I don't know how to call them, it just seems right to make them. When I was creating the design for the book, I think they look really pretty and delicate, so I went for it. Actually, those are I did them first in another design, and I liked them so much it ended up on this one, and this design of this mermaid was the last one I made for the book. So like I said before, I'm using lamp black on this part, and that's creating that effect of kind of armor, you know, it's silvery, so I'm hoping you guys can see kind of that was the effect. This took me kind of a while. It was kind of challenging because obviously as a portrait artist, I don't I don't draw a lot of armor, so I had to look at a few references and kind of adjust it to what I thought it would look on her. So yeah, I thought it came out pretty good. So here I'm adding just more of that pearlescent you saw on the tail, and then I ended up adding some details to her armor, kind of creating that shadow behind the armor, and then working on her skin again. I kind of went a little too dark on her skin. I wasn't planning to go that dark, but just kind of work out that way. This mermaid is a little bit inspired on myself, so it's kind of, I have darker skin. I kind of like her with the lighter skin, but since she was inspired on me, I didn't want it to go too light on her skin tone, because obviously I'm Latin and I have a dark caramel kind of skin tone. Her hair, even though she's inspired on me, I wanted to go lighter because I did try to do it darker like my hair. I have really dark brown hair, but I felt like it just didn't go with the composition. I felt like she needed to have a lighter kind of color in her hair. And then I started putting red on her kind of flowers, or it's kind of an accessory of hers in her hair. But then I didn't quite like the red, so at the end I ended up changing that. And then obviously my little turtle right there, I made him look pretty cute. Here you see in the hair tone I went a little lighter, because I started, you saw previously in the end of the hair I started a little darker, but then I started lightening it up. And I'm using a number 2 silver black velvet brush, which I love for hair. Okay, and for the hair I continue making sure I leave spaces for the highlights, and overall the hair has about 4 layers of colors, starting from the lightest, which was my base color, and then I build up 4 layers of color after that. Now we're pretty much done at this point. All that is left is kind of her lips, her eyes. I decided her eyes to be blue first. I wanted her eyes to be maybe on the caramel color, but then I decided blue was the best color for her to kind of bring out the other colors. And as you can see here too, I decided to go for more of a purple color on those accessories in her hair. And that's it, guys. I hope you guys like it. I really enjoy making it, and I like how it came out. And if you like it too, please give it a thumbs up, leave me some comments, subscribe. And like I said, this is going to be a series of sea creatures. They're not all mermaids, so if you want to see the upcoming videos, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.